All right. How are we doing?
Now we're live only on YouTube. In a second, we are going to be live on Instagram.
All right. What about TikTok? Can you
Now
tell?
we're live on Instagram.
All right. Hi, everybody. We are about 5 minutes to. Oops. What's happening? We are going to start. Today is Wadih Wednesday for those that are new to Community for International Arab. Every Wednesday, we come on to talk about a topic around our emotional health and wellness within our cultural context. So, welcome everybody. Hang in there just for a few more minutes. We're going to start in about 4 minutes. But as people are starting to gather and come on the live, welcome, welcome, welcome. Mira, can you get back on stage for a minute? Don't get off stage just yet.
Okay.
Let's check in. I wanted to introduce everyone to Mira. She is my assistant who runs the back end for Community for International Arab. So I wanted to introduce you guys to those that don't know her. Mira, let everybody know where you're coming from and where you're at.
Yes, I'm joining you from Egypt. I'm so excited to be joining you today with a new topic. Every Wednesday, I'm here backstage helping you out. If you have any questions, I'll let Tiffany see them because we're live streaming on different platforms. So that's why you may see us looking in different cameras and you may see Tiffany looking in a different camera. But we are seeing all your comments. I'm here to help with that. So yeah, and I also do the Yalla News, which are some updates of the services and things we have because we do usually get many questions about them. But we said we're gonna do it at the end of the live, so hang on in there. We're gonna do it at the end of the live, and yeah. So if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. Don't like it's fine. We're gonna see them, even if Tiffany is not looking in the camera of this platform you're watching. We still see you, and we're here to help you.
That's right. Thank you, Mira. We love the more you guys engage, the more interesting it is for me because I don't know about you guys when you're in like a university lecture and then the professor he's talking, behki, or you're like, oh God, can they just stop talking? And I feel that way for myself. So I'm really going to encourage you guys ask questions pertaining to the topic. But before speaking of engagement, I really love to see where everyone is coming in from. So we've got another 2 minutes. We're going to be talking about defense mechanisms today. Now, most of you, because of the internet, are quite psychologically minded. So think about if you don't know anything about defense mechanisms, just let me know. And if you do, give me a thumbs up. So I have a sense of where people's knowledge is at. That would be awesome. Now, within our Arab community, our defense mechanisms, there's some general ones I've seen as a clinician of 23 years that we sort of wash, rinse, and repeat. And we're not unlike other communities. However, before you guys come at me at the comments with your own projections, I wanted to be clear that yes, I understand defense mechanisms are a human experience. However, here at Community for International Arab, it's for us to talk about it within our cultural context and in Jammar Ma'bad, did I say that right, Mina? To come together and talk about it and explore what it may mean to us as a community. So let's see, where's everyone coming in from? Anyone chiming in? Everyone's quiet?
Yeah, till now everyone's quiet.
Oh my goodness. Is it early for those in the United States? I'm coming to you live from Los Angeles. It's been pretty warm here. Let's see. Oh, we've got Sultana 86 from Morocco. I love that. We've got Yusuf. Yes, Yusuf, free Palestine. That is that's non-negotiable here in this state. And we're not only freeing Palestine, we're freeing Sudan, we're freeing all of us from our own the wars that we have within ourselves. So yes, we've got Sardia. I think it's some emoji. Scarthy from Sardia. I love that. We've got, that's interesting. I don't think we've had too many people from Saudi Arabia. Have we, Mira?
Oh, I agree. We usually have Dubai and some people from Egypt. We have Palestine. Yeah, we don't have a lot from Saudi Arabia.
I love that. Welcome, our sisters and brothers from Saudi Arabia. Absolutely love that. We've got an American in the house, someone from the US, from Philadelphia. Welcome. Ibrahim, good to see you from California. Ooh, California. Let's see. Anybody else? Qatar is in the house. Yes. I heard Qatar is on my bucket list for countries to go visit. I've been told it's very beautiful. Let's see. All right, let's go. Let's see. Egypt is in the house. Oh, my Egyptian brothers and sisters. Mira, just because you created that algorithm in Egypt, they were our number one supporters.
I know. We needed you here.
Yeah, thank you, my Egyptian brothers and sisters. With that said, we're past time. All right, let's get started. Okay, so Sweden. Hi, Sara. Okay, so let's get started. Please ask questions. Please engage. It'll make this live be a lot more interesting. All right, let's talk about defense mechanisms. Now, I think one of the things within our Arab community, or what we learn in our Arab families and our communities, many times it's a hidden survival strategy. Okay, so that was the theme of this week, is defense mechanisms. We all have them. Let me be clear on that. If you're out there thinking you don't have any defense mechanisms, well, that's a defense mechanism. So we all have them. So I want us to be gentle with ourselves around this. This live is really to help us understand, number one, what are defense mechanisms? And not to see them as bad behaviors. I know through social media, things get pinned as either bad or good or right or wrong. Here in this community, we're taking a look at it through the eyes of psychological survival strategies that maybe have served us for a long time, and recognizing when they may not be serving us today. So we know that these survival strategies typically will develop in response to shame, trauma, family expectations, cultural pressures, and emotional pain. So if you had any of those things, you may have adopted a hidden survival strategy. So we know that every single person does this, and whether you realize it or not. In here, it's about recognizing when you are doing it. If we want to bridge the gap or the communication between our loved ones, particularly between older generation and younger generation, it's about being aware of when defense mechanisms are happening. It's not easy. However, I've seen in my own life and in my own practice that when people are aware of their own defense mechanisms, recognizing when their loved one is in their coping stance, that there's more empathy and more dialogue that can occur. So why do we have defense mechanisms? A lot of times it's unconscious, okay? It's to protect ourselves from difficult emotions. Let me say that again. Our defense mechanisms are unconscious ways in which we protect ourselves from difficult emotions. Difficult emotions include shame, fear, rejection, grief, vulnerability, guilt, powerlessness. Now think about yourself. How many of you have experienced any one of these or all of these difficult emotions? Now, and you may have had defenses come up as a result of that. Now, the problem isn't having the defense mechanism, not at all. The problem is when the defense that once protected you starts damaging your relationships, mental health, and your ability to grow. So does everyone hear that? So it's not a problem having a defense mechanism. It's when it starts to impact your relationships. Now, what I'm seeing in my practice, 23 years I've been doing this work, 23 years working within not just our Arab context. I mean, I've worked with many populations. However, one of the biggest things that I see is these defense mechanisms are driving us further and further apart from one another because no one's addressing it. No one's talking about it. So within our Arab cultural context, in many Arab families, we may hear messages like, be strong. Don't embarrass the family. What will the Nas say? Move on. Khalas. Move on. Pray and stop thinking about it. And family comes first. How many of you have heard messages such as this? Maybe with a thumbs up, heart emoji. How many of you have heard these messages growing up? So here you're having emotions, you're having feelings, and then growing up, your Arab family says, be strong. Don't do that. Don't feel that. Don't embarrass us. What are the people going to say? Anybody have had that? Yeah, looks like we've got Shireen always. Let's see, anybody else? Yeah. And so you have to remember that while these values, let's see, Sada, thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so while these values can provide strength and belonging, right? So part of these things, yeah, family comes first, beautiful, right? Nice. Making sure that you're conducting yourself in a way that your family can be proud of, right? I mean, some of these values, I think we have a video, don't we, Mita, on the difference between strengths and belonging. So you guys might want to check that out on YouTube. But getting back to the point, while these values can provide strength and belonging, absolutely, they can also teach people to suppress emotions and rather than process them. And I've seen that a lot of people suppress their emotions as a result of survival. And so many defense mechanisms become normalized. If anything, sometimes they're even rewarded in our cultural context. So let's talk about that. So what are they? Now, I want you to imagine your emotional system as a house. Pain knocks on the door. Now, instead of opening it and dealing with it, the brain will sometimes lock the door, pretend nobody's home, blames the neighbor, changes the subject, builds up walls around the house. Now, these are defense mechanisms. Okay, so how many of you lock the door or know somebody that locks the door or pretends nobody's home? Have you ever talked to your mother or father and you express an emotion and they're just staring at you blankly, or they walk away from you? Anybody have that? Or you call your sibling out on a behavior and they're blaming kul hada except themselves, right? Or this happened to me a lot growing up. I would share something deeply vulnerable. I mean, I can laugh about it now. I'm over 50, right? At the time, I was devastated. You know, you're talking about something very vulnerable, and it's like, shufti, my beautiful roses in the garden. It's like, I don't want to talk about your damn roses right now. And then you have to redirect, suppress, and redirect, right? Changing the subject is classic. Or sometimes when pain knocks on the door, your walls go up. So even if you're in a partnership and someone's trying to say, hey, I see your pain, you may build so many walls up that you don't let anybody in. Okay. Now, remember, these are all examples of defense mechanisms, and the goal is awareness. Just to be aware. When am I blaming other people? When am I changing the subject when I'm feeling uncomfortable? Okay, everyone good? All right, so let's talk about each one in detail. I'm going to take a drink. Mina, do we have any questions?
No questions, but Sarah said that's so me. Even when I'm sick, I deny it until I can take it anymore.
That's right. That's right. Mina, can you look at the TikTok comments? There's somebody's energy on there I'd like removed, please. All right. Defense mechanism number 1, denial. How many of you have grown up in a family where there was a refusal to acknowledge reality because it was too painful? And thumbs up. Anybody live in a family where there was so much denial about what was happening in the family system? Well, I see this a lot. Even on the platform in the comments, there's a lot of denial. I hear comments like, العرب إحنا مش هيك. ما في عنا these issues. ليش أنت بتحكي on these things? We don't have drug addiction. ما في عندنا sexual abuse. And I said, شو يعني أنتوا بتفكروا like we don't have these things? Of course we have these things. We're human beings. Not only do we have these things, yet there have been external things that have occurred in our home countries, even the racism in the diaspora, where, yeah, we want to deny a lot of things because of all the horrific things that are happening. Now, how that translates into our intimate relationships is, I'll give an example. An Arab father clearly struggles with alcoholism, okay? Or an uncle, clearly he's drinking. The family's response would be, he's just stressed. He doesn't drink that much. Or they may deny, هذا مش alcohol. And then, right? And it's now denied that the uncle or the father struggles with alcoholism, and they make up excuses. And that would be a form of denial. Another one that I see in our cultural context, a marriage that is emotionally abusive, in some cases, physically abusive. And the family's response, more often than not, is every marriage has problems. That one to me is the denial. Your daughter is coming to you saying, هذا بضربني, هذا he's hurting me. Inti, every marriage has problems. Okay. You may have a child who is severely depressed, or you yourself may have been severely depressed for lots of reasons, which we won't get into. Now, the family's response may be, you're just lazy. You're not strong enough. You're not praying enough. So now their denial around your mental health issues keeps you more isolated. So what are the clinical impact of the denial? It prevents healing. It prevents accountability, because now the family system has to take a look at, Baba has an addiction. What are we going to do with that? That would require change that he may not be willing to do, change that the mother may feel so overwhelmed to cope with. For the young women, and I say this happens to young men, but I'll address the young women that are in these marriages where the family is saying, Habibti, every marriage has problems, and you're being emotionally, verbally, and in some cases physically abused. Well, what do you need to do with your healing when everyone around you is in denial? Okay. Now, reality, what I tell Arab, that's why I'm not everybody's cup of tea as a therapist. Like Arab families that I work with really have to be ready for, because I blow through denial. because reality does not disappear because we refuse to acknowledge it. Okay. So let me ask you guys a question. What truth have you been avoiding because facing it feels overwhelming? So maybe if anyone feels safe or comfortable enough, what truth have you been avoiding? What are you denying in your own life? Because the reality of facing it is too overwhelming. Oh, it's time. So that's a question I want all of you guys to think about. What am I denying? What am I in denial around? Is it my health, my physical health? My denying? I have this theory that when sometimes denial is very good when you're having an illness, because you are acting as if you don't have this illness, and because you don't want to be overwhelmed by it, which may drive the family crazy because they want you to take care of yourself. There's still like I had an uncle back in the day. He had throat cancer. Okay. And he was in so much denial around, or maybe he was facing it. I had no idea, but he had back then, they would do this, he was breathing through the tube. Now imagine I'm a kid in the 70s and you see this man smoking out of his throat. That's the level of denial. I know, it's terrifying, right? But I'm sharing with you because the daraja of our denial maybe has kept him alive, 5 more years, with smoking out of his neck. And the reason why I say that is denial does have its place, but yet when we deny what's happening in our communities, which is what's happening, we're denying the emotional impact of everything that's happening in our home countries, here in the US, in the diaspora. Well, we've become quite unwell, and the younger generation is saying, hey, we need to talk about this. All right. Now I'm tough to think. That was my great uncle, God bless him. He used to call me Tabula because he didn't like the name Tiffany. He goes, Mahu inti Tabula. So yes, he was Allah yarhamu. He was a wonderful man. All right. What? Mira, what's that question?
It's I think it's an answer. The username is how do, but he's denying sex.
Oh, thank you. Denying sex. Yes. I can spin that in multiple directions, but yes, we have a lot of denial around sex for many reasons. Yeah, that's a big one because sex is so taboo in our culture. We don't talk about that. So if you're in denial around that, why asking yourself, what am I avoiding? What is the feeling that I'm overwhelming? So if you wanted to explore sex, maybe with a same-sex partner or somebody, or even, let's say you're a guy and you want to have sex, or you're a girl and you want to explore sexually, you may be denying those overwhelming feelings because you may feel so much shame. Well, you ask yourself, well, what is my truth in this? What are my values? I'm answering that because there was very little context. So, all right. Anything else? Oh, did you have to mute him, Mira?
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if he really meant what I thought. I thought he was answering your question. But we do have other questions.
Yeah, tell me, Habibti, what are the questions before we go on to defense?
Rima said, my mom is in an emotionally abusive relationship with my dad. All he does is hurt her, but she refuses to take action, and she keeps saying it's nasibi. Nasibi is my destiny.
Yeah, nasib. It doesn't. So you can see where that's another defense mechanism, which I'll talk about later, right? She's denying, she's masking it with this is my destiny, when it doesn't have to be. However, for your mom, I can see for her where she could feel that way. But that's maybe what she has to say to keep herself going. because she may feel powerless to let him go. She may be in a position where she may not be able to divorce your father. Culturally, the stigma around divorce, I think, I want to say overseas is less stigmatized than here. Well, I don't know. I have no idea. I still think divorce is stigmatized in our culture, just not as much as it used to be. There wasn't a question there, but what I'm hearing from that is your mother, watching your mother in this dynamic, this is her nasib, can feel extremely powerless. But I have empathy for your mom. I can't imagine. And for her to say that that's her destiny, there's like a acceptance and a resignation in that. And that's sad to watch.
And then we have her username is Heart. It said, my family keeps bringing religion whenever I bring up my depression. What should I do?
Yeah, so they may be in denial, masking it with religion, pray more. The only thing you can do, I don't know how old you are, Habibti, but depending on your age, your resources, it's going to be important for you to understand your own depressive symptoms. See if you can get some help if you can. Sometimes there is clinical depression. I remember when I was doing my family lineage for graduate school, and you had to, and oh my God, my grandfather was so upset because I was asking my teta all the questions about like the ancestor, like multiple generations back. Ooh, he was so upset. However, it was on one branch of a female line. There was clear from what in my teta's, the way she described it, there was clear clinical depression in that maternal line. And nobody knew at the time, nobody talked about these things. And there were multiple suicides in that branch. So, well, let me caveat, they never said it was suicide. They named everything else except what it was. And I thought, oh my gosh, if the family was more open, now I'm saying, let's talk about now. Back then, nobody talked about mental health, but let's talk about today. You have depression. Let's understand what it is. Take a look at your family history. Were there people that you may have had that? There could be something there. And it's important for you to educate yourself on that. And if it reaches a point where you have thoughts of hurting yourself, to please take yourself to the nearest emergency room. And your family may never understand depression because if they're looking at it through the eyes of religion, what is it? God will solve all problems. Well, I'm not here to debate religion at all, but I'm here to say that perhaps there's ways in which we can honor both. Okay. All right. How are we doing? Keep going. Mira, كيف احنا?
Yes, we can keep going.
Okay. So that was defense mechanism number 1, denial. Now let's go to defense mechanism number 2. I see this a lot in our culture. And if you guys do this, I'm gently going to say, take a look at what you're doing. Projection. Now, the definition is you're taking feelings we cannot tolerate in ourselves, and then we assign them to somebody else. Okay. So you'll have that auntie at the party. Let's say you're feeling good. You're feeling great. And then she'll say, oh, tilts her head. Habibti, you look tired. And you're like, what? I was feeling good. I thought I was looking great. And she's saying I look tired. Now, Habibti, that's a projection. So she may have felt tired. She couldn't tolerate that in herself. She saw you, may have felt some feelings, and then wanted to project onto you her feelings. Now, in her insecurity, she's going to project onto you. And then you may feel insecure. Now, this is another one. They accuse everyone else of being jealous. I hear this a lot. Everybody's jealous of me. هن بحطوا العين علينا. They're accusing everyone else of being jealous versus taking a look at, now that might be true in some, hold on. Okay, scratch that. They accuse everyone else of being jealous when they may be the ones really putting in that competition. They shame, someone feels shame regarding their sexuality. So I see this a lot. They will project onto, let's say they have feelings toward, let's say they're a man and they have feelings towards another man. It happens. Sexual feelings. They may have such deep-seated shame that now they're going to project onto any human being that may not move in that hyper-masculine way. They may harm them as a result of their projections. They may constantly criticize others for being immoral. I think we have a video, Mira, don't we? Where you have to be really careful. The one that's pointing the finger at you and constantly pointing the finger at everybody else, they're usually the ones that have the most hidden in their closet. So you have to be really aware when someone projects onto you, criticizing you for being immoral, not doing things correctly. Just before you internalize it, stop, take a deep breath and go, oh, what may they be hiding? Why are they coming at me or coming at my family or coming at other community members with such vehement criticism? Just take a look at that. Is that a projection? Now, like a parent may feel guilty about emotional neglect. So let's say a child would say they're crying. And the Arab parent may feel that pain of that child because of their own pain that they have suppressed and denied. Now they will project onto the child because they can't tolerate those overwhelming feelings. You're too sensitive. So now the child becomes the problem. Many of you in here have become the problem for being too sensitive, when in fact, your parent may have projected onto you their inability to tolerate their own distress, and they cannot be present to you in that way. So they'll project that. And then now you're internalizing it as, I'm too sensitive, and you gaslight yourself and you minimize your own feelings as a result of that, typically. Now, I can tell you just from a social media perspective, as a therapist, Arab mental health advocate, and discussing trauma or sex or gosh knows any other things, people will comment, you're destroying Arab culture. If I had a dime for every time I got a message like that. Or what are you doing? That's not true. So there's denial. Then they're projecting onto me their anger, their frustration, all of it. And I just stop and I think to myself, often when someone gets triggered in the lives or when they get triggered by the videos, a lot of times it's because they may be feeling their own discomfort with confronting some of these painful realities. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you, because it's not about other people, it's about you. Have you ever accused someone of something that was actually happening inside of you? Have you ever projected onto someone else your own feelings? Now, sometimes when you do that, people will have a very strong reaction. They'll say, oh, I think you're sad. Oh, women, I see this a lot in marital dynamics. Now, the woman may attune to her husband and she says, honey, you look like you're in distress. Like, talk to me about what's going on. And the husband's like, I'm fine. He may be in denial, maybe not. I don't know. And so the more she projects, now she's feeling distressed because she can't read him. She will project onto him her distress. He may get upset, like, stop talking, this is not what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And then now you both are in marital conflict because you may have not, the wife may not have been able to tolerate whatever's going on with her husband. Instead of giving him space, or maybe that's just how he is and he's emotionally unavailable, I don't know. But try to pull yourself back and recognize that you may be projecting onto him, and people may have some strong feelings towards that. All right, where are we at? Okay, let's see. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, we have a question from Yasmin. She's joining us from YouTube. She said, can you elaborate on why parents say you're too sensitive?
Yeah, just in my experience, I can say that we do come from a culture that typically emotionally suppresses. And so if a child expresses any type of feeling or need or emotion, the parent's going to say, you're too much, you're too sensitive, and you very well may be sensitive. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive. It's what makes us human. But a parent may weaponize that in order to keep you from feeling your feelings, because then it would have to be a mirror to them to feel their feelings, and they may not be able to tolerate it. So why do they say that? Emotional suppression, trauma, denial. I think those are, their own experiences. They may not have been taught how to hold space for their children. So you're going to be labeled too sensitive. Anytime somebody says to you, you're too sensitive, that's a huge red flag for me. Or now everyone's too sensitive. Nobody can talk to anybody anymore. Well, I think you need to take it on a case-by-case basis on what that looks like. But you have to say, is it moving me towards my family member, or is it moving me away from my family member? And typically when we say things like you're too sensitive, or a parent says that to a child or an adult child, that's you're moving away from the person versus asking what's going on for you that you're feeling this way. Now, they may not understand what you're feeling. The parent doesn't necessarily need to understand. The parent needs to hold the space and hold their child, hold their adult child. I'm here for you. And sometimes as a parent, you do need to have the strength to say, okay, you could feel your feelings and I need you to get up. I need you to move forward just a little bit. But adult parents typically will overcorrect. So the kid is feeling their feelings. They'll vacillate between you're too sensitive, you're lazy, you're this, to they just let them rot in the room. And so there's a blend to that. Mira, anything else?
No more questions. No questions. Just Sarah shared something. She said, I caught myself saying we look ugly to my friend while she was taking a photo of us. And then I apologized and said I look ugly because I had an insecure body image week. I think that's a projection.
Very good. Sara, thank you so much for your bravery in calling yourself out on that. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a total projection. Even as a therapist, I could tell you, even when I'm in the room with my clients, sometimes I do project, and I will name it. Hey, I think I'm projecting. I know I'm projecting. And it opens up dialogue to say, how can we foster communication together? What a wonderful gift you gave your friend. And Habibti, I hear you, but words are powerful. I look ugly. I'm going to encourage you. I know body image issues can be deep in our culture. And I'm going to encourage you to please be kind to yourself. Because growing up, I was talking to friends of mine, those Kulna Arab. We all thought we looked ugly growing up. And we look back on pictures and we say, oh my gosh, how did we ever think we looked ugly? And I'm going to encourage you not to wait till you're in your 50s to have that conversation with yourself. Take a look at your photos. Instead of saying, I look ugly, I'm going to encourage you to say something kinder. And try to reframe that, because you're probably not ugly. No one is ugly. Everyone is there are beauty standards, and now I'm getting off topic. We are all have this inner light. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. And just be kind to yourself around that. Okay. How are we doing?
I think we can continue.
Okay. Defense mechanism number 3, rationalization. Now, it's creating logical explanations to avoid emotional truth. So we, as a culture, I think we're really good at rationalizing. I would tell colleagues of mine, I can rationalize with the best of them. So one example would be, I hear this a lot, I stay in this toxic relationship because of the kids. Now, you rationalize it, and okay, you're staying in a terrible marriage for your children, and you may rationalize that. And people would go, especially within our cultural context, yeah, you stay in the marriage for your kids, no matter how miserable you are, because it's, nasib, right? Was that the right word? And so you stay in the toxic relationship because of the kids. Now, the reality is you may be terrified to receive backlash from the culture. You may be terrified of being alone. So you have to remember, what am I rationalizing? Is it moving me closer to myself or away from myself? And what is underneath it? Because you can logically explain things and go, oh yeah, okay, that kind of, and you can, that kind of makes sense. Yet what's underneath it, and and that's the deeper vulnerability that you may be avoiding. The emotional truth is, I'm terrified of being alone. So I'm going to stay in this. I'm going to rot in this marriage until the end of time, traumatizing myself, traumatizing my kids, traumatizing my grandchildren, because and that's okay. I don't want to see it as a judgment, but that's okay if that's your choice, but recognize why you're rationalizing it. Take a look at the deeper truth on that. I hear this a lot in our Arab culture. I don't need therapy. We don't need therapy. Wala hada in our culture needs therapy. Therapists don't understand, because the reason is they'll say, well, we don't need that. We have religion. We have other things. That's not important. They may also say, I don't need therapy because therapists, Western therapists, I hear that a lot, don't understand our culture. Now, sometimes that's true. And I've talked about that in here. Yet sometimes it's covering fear, shame, or vulnerability to address some very important things. There are a lot of Western therapists that do very good work. And so you may be using that as an excuse to cover up really addressing what you may be denying, what you may be repressing, what you may be projecting onto other people. So the clinical question for you in this is, what emotional truth is hiding underneath the explanation? So like if, as an example, going to the gym, well, I don't want to spend the money, or let's say you want to do something special for yourself. I don't want to spend the money because I have this, this, and this. Well, but maybe you're afraid of giving that to yourself, because you'll spend money on all kinds of material things. But when it comes to you, it may be, I don't feel like I'm worthy, or I'm afraid if I go to therapy and I unearth some things, I may have to make some changes in my life. And that's scary. And I get that. Okay. Defense mechanism number 4. This is a big one. I'm going to spend a lot of time on this one. And this will be the last one for the live. And then we'll do part 2 next week. Repression. Now, as a society, as a culture, what I see clinically is we push painful experiences out of our awareness. Now, I think repression is often misunderstood because people tend to view it only as a problem. And I let my Western colleagues know that, yes, Arab in general, we repress a lot, especially those living in our home countries, because that is their survival. Because in reality, that repression is so remarkably incredible adaptive survival strategy. It's incredible. I said, their ability to repress everything that goes around them. I tell my Western colleagues, do you guys understand the amount that they have to go through? And then you're going to pathologize their repression, when if they had to really think through everything that was happening around them, there would be no way they would survive. So can we see that as a strength, especially for the people who have lived through war, displacement, persecution, occupation, political violence, and chronic instability, which happens in almost every Arab country, any one of these things. So how does repression protect people during war? Now, when someone is in an active survival situation, the brain's primary goal is to not heal. They don't have the luxury. The brain is not in the luxury space to heal. It's in survival. So if a person fully experience, now I want you guys to think about this for a second and maybe look at it for yourself. If a person fully experienced the emotional impact of watching people die, bombing, torture, starvation, forced migration, losing loved ones, and living under constant threat, think about that. I'm emotionally overwhelmed just saying that, and I'm living in my nice little home here in Los Angeles. So you have to remember, for your parents, that repression, if they had to really think about everything that they had to go through, it may tax their system so much that they may not be able to. That's why we don't push our parents to open up about their trauma, because their mind is saying, we don't have time to feel right now. We need to stay alive. Even when they're in a safer country, or if they're in a safe environment, okay? Your parent may still feel, they may have felt this from the age of 5 or 3, with no one supporting them in how to navigate it. So it's really important for all of the young people out there to be mindful that your parents' repression may be so strong that you trying to open them up is harmful. Because the emotions, the memory, the grief, they pushed aside all of it so that they can continue functioning, especially as they're trying to build a life in the UK or in the US or Australia, wherever. So for many war survivors, repression was not a dysfunction. For your parents, you may feel it as a dysfunction, but for them, it was brilliant in many ways. Let's honor that, because it allowed them to protect you to the degree that they could. They escaped danger to find food, to build a new life, not knowing language, right? They start over in another country. They continue to work despite unimaginable losses. So without this repression, they would not have been able to survive. So I think it's the reason why I'm highlighting this for the younger generation is because your parents may not even talk about any of it. You may ask them, Mama, Baba, how was your childhood? And they will say, oh, it was wonderful. When you study the history of your country of origin, you're going to go, well, really? Okay. All right. Questions?
Yeah, we had Rima. She said, "What are your recommendations for dealing with everything instead of embracing these toxic mechanisms? You mentioned asking yourself the truth and the lie you're telling yourself. Can you elaborate?"
Yeah, first, Rima, thank you for your question. Let's move away from toxic. I'd like everybody to remove toxic from, let's remove toxic. I said at the beginning of the live, the defense mechanisms are to create awareness. And I talked about repression as being a brilliant adaptive coping for our parents who may have endured war. So, but to answer your question, part of what I'm hearing is you mentioned asking yourself the truth. Well, first you have to understand what's happening in your body. Go to your body first. If your stomach is hurting you, that's a pretty good indicator for you to stop and go, okay, let's say you're talking to somebody, your stomach is hurting you. That person either may be projecting onto you their feelings and you're feeling anxious because of this dialogue. You want to have awareness around that. Go, oh, my stomach hurts. Why does my stomach hurt? What's going on? So you want to stop, take a deep breath, objectively look at any situation and go, okay, what's happening here? Is this person projecting onto me? Am I projecting onto them? Am I in denial around something? And that takes a significant amount of self-reflection and daily work and working with a clinician. But what I'm hearing you say is you want to be aware of it. And awareness means stopping, reflecting, tuning into your body. If you feel nervousness in your chest, sometimes we feel this heavy weight on our chest, being in some of our Arab families. You want to put your hand on your heart and go, okay, what is this about for me? I'm feeling really judged right now. I'm feeling criticized. So I may be getting defensive, which is defense. I'll talk about that next week. And go, okay, I know this person may not understand me. So why am I trying to convince somebody that doesn't understand me? Why am I trying to convince somebody of my humanity when they are intent on not seeing you because they can't even see themselves? So if you want to move away from, you want to use the defense mechanisms as information, not as something you want to run from, something you want to lean into and ask yourself, what's happening here? And it may not necessarily be about you. Okay.
Yeah.
How's that?
Oh, thank you for answering it. It makes a lot of sense, and I think it was very helpful. We do have other questions. We have a question saying, it's not a question, it's someone responding to you saying, when you're afraid to go to the gym or do something for yourself, he said, I'm afraid of what I'm going to find out if I have the opportunity to give something to myself, whether it's therapy or going to the gym.
Where they were just saying that was hard.
Yeah, he said he's afraid of what he's going to find out if he gave himself the opportunity to, I think, do things to himself and know more about himself.
I hear you. And that's why therapy can be so scary when people start. And I always let anybody that sits in front of me, like, wow, the courage it took for you to just even all of you on the live, the courage it takes for you to even be sitting in this space is an indicator that even though you're afraid of opening yourself up, there's a curiosity within you that you may want to open yourself up because you can feel that you may want more growth. You may want more intimacy, more connected relationships. And yeah, it's terrifying. I don't know what to tell you, Habibi. It's terrifying. Yet, as someone who's been on the other side of that and going through the dark, gunky shadow work that I did all throughout my life, I can tell you that it's not as scary as you that your anxious brain is telling you. nobody, you may lose lots of people in your life. I do have to put that disclaimer, and you start healing. Yeah, I mean, some people got to go. That's one caveat, and you may not be ready for that. But if you are, it's a wonderful, wonderful, if you can lean through and give to yourself in that way, there's so many wonderful discoveries. And you may discover that, yeah, you've got some stuff there too. Don't have me sit on the other side of this screen. I have, like, just because I've done the work, I'm profoundly limited in many ways. It's about my defense mechanism is defensiveness. You catch me on the wrong day, مش حلو. But it's about acknowledging with certain people, I may get more defensive because of whatever shame response I'm feeling. Now, before, I may have been afraid of exploring that because it would arise more shame within me. But when I leaned into it, it actually empowered me to say, I could do something about this, that I can let go of the shame. I can let go of those feelings that I have had all throughout my life, that I am a failure. And then you transmute it. And you use your wounds to be more of service to others, or you use your wounds to be an example to your younger siblings. That you can overcome mental health issues. You can overcome shame and powerlessness. So I hear it's terrifying, but what we fear is not necessarily true.
Okay, I think we can continue.
Okay. وين احنا? Thank you everyone for your participation. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to skip through all that because that's too much. So when I talked about repression and our families, and I'm going to offer one reframe to the younger generation. And I know I've had videos on this. And I need to do a better job in shifting the language. So I'm going to do that now. Instead of you saying, my parents are emotionally unavailable, no one's denying that. They may be emotionally unavailable. Yet in recognizing that their defense mechanism is repression as a result of everything that they've gone through that many don't talk about, I'm going to invite you all to consider, my parents may have survived experiences that required them to shut down parts of themselves in order to stay alive. Okay, you see the difference? When you say my parents are emotionally unavailable, you want to fight them, you want to be away from them, you don't want to be around them. You're like, ugh. I get that. But when you say, I can look at them through more eyes of compassion, that they have lived whatever it was they were surviving, they shut down so many parts of themselves, and they may not want to open them up for the thing that the individual asked. It's terrifying. Now, I say this, that it doesn't excuse harmful behavior at all, but it creates a compassion alongside your accountability to say, okay, this is where they are. They're in their coping stance. And many of you spend a lifetime trying to break through those barriers. And all I'm encouraging you to do is pull back, take a look at what are your defenses and how you can foster more connection with them or the family members that are not harmful. Harmful meaning they're abusive. Because many Arab parents, my generation and above, I'm letting you guys know, nobody was taught emotional regulation. This is not an East versus West thing. Nobody talked about mental health. Nobody talked about wellness and self-care. We just lived. And we were taught just to survive. So now that many of you, the children, many of you are now the first generation where there's enough safety. Great job to your parents. They created enough safety for you, to begin feeling what previous generations couldn't. Do you guys hear that? Now that your parents did all this stuff to create safety. Now they're still in their fear pictures and we're going to put that aside. But that now you have the privilege of being able to lean into, well, what does this all mean? How do we improve? How do we do better? And so that shift from survival to healing is your accountability, is probably one of the most important psychological transitions that I see happening in many Arab families today. And I am there for it. I'm excited for what the younger generation is asking for. So just remember that for you to move through these defense mechanisms for yourself, it's about body awareness. Where do you feel it in the body? Now, many of you may be disconnected from your bodies for lots of reasons. So if you're feeling sick, or if you have migraines, autoimmune, I see this a lot, migraines, autoimmune, panic attacks, the body remembers what the mind forgets. Right? What was that famous book? The Body Keeps the Score. The body remembers what the mind forgets. So I do a lot of somatic work with my client. Let's take a look. Where do you feel it? What's happening for you? And then we make sense of it. And then there's some things you can't make sense, but then we make meaning of it. Okay. So sometimes working with a clinician is really important. All right. So I'm going to stop there. Next week, we're going to go over the rest of the defense mechanisms. And then we're also going to talk about some of the clinical consequences of that. But this is just a general. So what I'm going to encourage all of you on the lives to do is take the next week or so, recognize, okay, am I in my own coping stance? Am I projecting? Am I repressing? Am I in denial about something? And just notice your body first. Feeling something, stop, take a deep breath, go, okay, what is this about? Be curious and see what information you come up with. And hopefully that'll help ease up some of the fear of exploring.
Yes. Should we have a part 2? I think we should, right?
No, we need a part 2. I feel like every live is part 1 and part 2. We have too much information to go over it, but yes.
Yes. And can I go over some Yalla news?
Please, Habibti, go ahead. Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so for anyone in the comments that's asking about consultations, Tiffany does offer consultations. They're online and you can find them in the link in our bio. You can find all the available dates and times, and you can book it directly there. And if you find it hard, you can just send us a DM and I'll be there to help you. We also have a support group for the LGBT community. You can also find that in the link in our bio. It's a beautiful support group, and I think it's one of a kind. It's a drop-in. It's very affordable. You can find all the details in the link in our bio and book directly there. You can also find a guidebook for the LGBT community that you can purchase there. And we also have an autonomic nervous system guidebook. It's also available on the website. So if you just need help, if you need to look up what could be helpful for you, all this information is in our website, and everything is in our link in bio.
Yeah, so all that somatic work, that the ebook was written by a colleague of mine, Nina Bratcher, and it's a very good ebook. So if you want to start understanding your nervous system and start to take a look at, we talked about defense mechanisms, and you want to take a deeper dive in where your responses are coming from, that ebook has lots of good information and reflective questions to address that, if you didn't want to start working with a therapist. Okay, I think we're going to end because I'm reading comments on TikTok and they're it's time to go, Mira, because my defense mechanisms might be I haven't had my coffee yet. It's even time to feed
Yeah, but I muted them. We're good. Khaltu Bahdara is gonna start now, so you don't need no Khaltu.
Thank you everyone for being a part of the live. Mira, thank you for all the work that you do for our community. We are so blessed to have you. To everyone who participated in the live, who asked questions, who stayed on, thank you for being a part of this community. I appreciate just your willingness to be open. And here at Community for International Arab, we have a tagline. It's Nawar Titnawar, that the light in me sees the light in you. And my hope is that through this awareness and talking about these things, that we will continue to shine together as a community. All right. Love you guys. Have a great night or day, wherever you are in the world. Bye, guys.